You are now checking out
the Win Podcast,
where the everyday people
are the celebrities.
So let's get to know them.
Who am I? I feel like that's one of the questions that you never really get the answer to. Me personally, I feel like in every different stage in life, you're always trying to figure that out. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like depending on the phase you are, depending on what you're seeking, what situation you're in, you come across different purposes. And then when you find that purpose, you be like, wow. Then you go to the next one and the next one. And I hate defining who I am versus like a category or I could tell you, like I'm an analyst for a city agency. I'm a video editor. I'm a brother. I'm a son. Like I feel like those are all titles. Mm-hmm. But us personally, internally, like who we are, I feel like I haven't figured that out yet. I feel like that's just something like an ongoing journey. That's just part of it. Part of the process is always chasing who you are. Me personally, like that's how I feel.
No, that's great. I think that's dope because you leave it open and also have a log already of discoveries that you already figured certain things out about yourself. Now this is interesting for me because like we spoke here and there. I seen you also like randomly like the first time when you came to my show, and I'm like, oh, that's so dope. You came to support, and then like, but honestly, like the last time we really like spoke was like in high school because we would see each other every day. And to me, this interview is like so dope because now, in a sense, I get to hear almost like your one-man story, right? And also I get to reflect to like who I was in high school and shit like that. So what was the transition for you from high school to like college? Because I know for me, it was jokes all day. I don't remember doing homework. Well, we just cracked jokes, and probably did the minimum. You had a higher GPA than me, of course, but honestly, I just remember being excited to go to school because we're cracking jokes. Even cracking jokes with the teachers, on the teachers, everyone. And everything was based on laughter. And like, we were just jokesters and pranksters. And then, of course, we leave now high school and now have to like go to another phase of college. How was that for you? Because like even also like the people that you once was close to every day, they're disappearing. Yep. Now they're moving on to something else.
Everybody moved away. Like it's just everybody, I guess, hit that stage. But yeah, when it came to high school, that's exactly. I remember last time we spoke, I was like, damn, I have no memory of high school, but just joking around and like busting chops with teachers. It was just a fun time, and I mean at that point in life, you chase things that you think is what you want, but then you realize it's not. And for me, it was always revolved around my weight. Like I always had a weight issue. Like maybe in high school I did transition a little bit. I remember losing some weight, but it always backtracked to my confidence. Like it was very deep because I was always like an obese kid. Like I had to dig deep in my past to be like, all right, this is where it stops. So it was part of my personal growth transitioning from high school to college, where it was like, all right, now I get to choose what to eat, or now I can see the results what to eat. Now I can actually make a routine. I could work out more. And although I didn't have my friends, I feel like in high school we didn't worry about that. In high school it's kind of like we just
like you fat.
Yeah,
you crack jokes about it.
We want to go play ball, and we go play ball. It was more like fun, and we did that too. Yeah. Like we played basketball, we did all these things, but it wasn't as a losing weight type. That wasn't the goal in mind.
What was so tough? What was so difficult for you to, I guess, accept that like this is my body and I guess there's also different triggers too, like why people eat, where you like one simple trigger is like I just love fucking food. Like, you know what I'm saying? Other people like whatever they felt depressed or angry, they'll eat food. So for you, what was the weight for you? What was it about that annoyed you, that you didn't like yourself, and that you also triggered a lot of emotions that you abusing it?
I don't know. I feel like when it came to relationships, I was cool. I had my boys, but I'm like, damn, like in my romantic department, I guess, I was a super late bloomer because I was like, damn, nobody wants this fat. Like I'm a fat kid. I didn't have confidence for being a fat kid, period. The only thing I had to mask that was my sense of humor.
Gotcha.
You know, and that's kind of, and I realized later on in life, like, wow, I use my sense of humor to kind of like mask my insecurities. You know, so those were the type of things that hid behind that. But in reality, it's like I saw my grandparents, I saw my parents, I saw all the illnesses, and like that started to worry me. And especially in certain cultures, like the older folks would be like, oh, that's, you know, they'll tell you like, oh, that's you better take care of yourself because that's you next. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like that, you know, that's when I got to stop, you know, and I started doing tons of research. And even in college, it wasn't easy because then it's like, oh, wow, like I have access to anything I want, you know, and then there is emotional eating. There is this mental thing that I grew up with. It's like you have to finish everything that's on your plate. You know, that's like, it's crazy, but it's embedded in my head that I can't leave I can't leave something on my plate. It still is.
There's a guilt to it behind it.
Right. Just by growing up in that.
Yep.
So I feel like that carried my whole childhood all the way up to like college. And
how did you make a stop to that? To like, I guess the first step, like, let me successfully and aggressively and at my pace try to make a change. What was the first couple of things you started doing to really not only monitor your health, but try to like find inner healing to what you were seeing in the mirror?
Exactly. Like, so one of the first things I did was like incorporated water. I was like, all right, I got to take out all these drinks that are like so sugary, you know, I got soda, all these juices. I'm like, why am I drinking all stuff? Let me start with water. And that was hard because every step of the way is a challenge. Every step is like, you think it's easy, but it's not. It's like it's like, you know, you have like the bad voice and the good voice. Like, nah, man, you drink this water. It's like, nah, you know, you want that Coke. You know, you want that Coke. So I slowly started incorporating more water. I saw the water even started like slimming me down. I'm like, wow, like all I'm doing is drinking water. That's great. And then your body obviously plateaus in that. And then I started doing more research. Like, there's something, I became obsessed with my health. And I still am. Like, I still am obsessed with my health. It's just an obsession now, like where every time I hit a certain point, I find I'm amazed with my own body. Like, wow, I got to this. Like, I wonder what I could do now, because it's like it always hits a level where it's like, all right, now you're not changing anymore. So what's next? What's next? It's always like at that pace. So I hit that level and I was like, all right, what can I do now? Then I started slowly cutting back on, you know, the homegrown Spanish food, man. Like that. The food is great. I got grandma cooking every day. My mom cook every day. You come home, it's like rice, beans, chicken, meat. Like, it's like a whole feast. And I had to start cutting down on that. And that was hard. It was hard for them and me. You know, because the family's like, yo, you never, you know, you never turned down my food and all. And that became like a whole, you know.
A whole nother thing. Why are you doing this? You found all these white people and all that stuff that
it's
they
like,
eat and stuff.
It becomes, and I didn't go away for school. So I stayed in New York, and I had to, you know, obviously traveling to go home every night. And I had to kind of fight that and still fall into it because it was so hard. It's like, all right, I'm getting home at 8 o'clock. I can't just choose what I want to eat when there's food right there. So even then, it was a battle.
So as of right now, you cut off like meat and stuff like that, or everything is like in moderation to a sense?
Right. Like there was no point. There was only one point in my life and this was after college, that I actually cut out meat and I was just doing fish. But then I came back to like incorporate certain things, and now like I'm in control. You know, that was, I feel like before it was all that. Like everything was like food. Everything was revolved around food. And my family still has it like that. It's like everything revolves around food. And they know, and I remind them every time, like, you guys love with food. Like, literally, that's how they love you. You go there, you have to eat. You guys are like, no, you don't eat, you don't love me. Like, what do you mean? Like, the guilt is serious. So I had to kind of detach myself from that.
You had to find and accept this journey that you're trying to learn from, and also be okay with that. And stand in your own ground, like, hey, I'm not eating pork chops today. I'm not eating chicken. And it sounds like so funny and dumb, but like coming from a family like that, which I can attest for that, it's tough, because now you're battling your own battle within yourself, and also you're battling the temptation of food, and now you're battling your parents. And you're like, what the hell? Like, can you just agree with me and help me out? This like hard. I can't have you like siding with the meat right now.
It's hard.
I need you right now to help me out. But if not,
it's hard. I still get it now. I still, even now.
After all these years?
After all these years, it's just the way they love. I'm telling you. I still get it now. I still get backlash. And I'm like, no. They're starting to get a little bit, you know, used to it now because, you know, after then you move out, and then that's when things really escalate. Like now I'm really not eating. You know, now I could really choose. Once I move out, now I'm meal prepping. Now I'm cooking my own thing. Now it becomes easier for me.
But they now send you the food to your house.
No, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. Like, you can't deny my food. FedEx overnight.
So what did you learn about this whole journey of yourself with weight loss and food? What did you learn about yourself during that whole process to the point where you reached the level where you're at now, where you're content, you're aware of your health, and like how you said, I'm in control?
I learned. I'm trying to find out one of the biggest important lessons, but I learned many things. I feel like one for sure, like nothing's impossible. Like you could put your body through the most craziest challenge, and I'm sure, like if you put your mind to it, you could definitely come out on top. And I also learned that sometimes you really have to put yourself first. Like I don't want to say I don't want to include other people, but I've seen many people like be people pleaser. You know, you're pleasing everybody, but you forget about yourself. You lose yourself. You really do. Because I lost myself in satisfying others. You know, and then when I started putting myself and my health first, because I'm looking in the mirror, and then I'm looking at what my future may look like, which is, you know, the older generation of my family. It's like, I don't want to turn into that. Like, my goal is to die of old age, you know, like, if everything permits well and I do. If I don't, great, but I try, you know, like, that's my main thing. You know, they say YOLO. Yeah, you only live once. So why are you going to, you know, why are you going to do it the trashy way? Why not do it the healthy way? You know, this is my perspective. So I feel like the greatest challenge is that when you start putting yourself first, you realize that that's what's important, because then you could serve others in a better way versus you actually serving others and losing yourself. You know, it's kind of like.
What did you start learning also about the food that you was eating and how that was affecting your body? I think that's a great topic because, especially this year for me, like I became more aware of my health and also want to change a lot of the things that I was eating, and even to the point where, like, for a month I stopped eating chicken just to see how that affected my body and just to see if I can do it. Another thing that I was implementing too was I stopped soda and juice, and I just started drinking water. And I treated myself on Saturday after a month and a half to soda, and I used to be able to drink like 2 big cups of it. I went probably like halfway, and it was content for me. But I'm like, I noticed all the sugar too. I was like, damn. But I also know probably like, it does taste good though. Like, I'm not gonna lie to myself that it doesn't.
No, absolutely.
I'm like, damn, it does taste good. But I'm like, 1, I noticed all the sugar. 2, I even noticed how my body was. It was like, dude, we can't do 2 cups of this. Like, let's just do half. And then I instantly drank my water, like, and was just in tune.
Let me wash this down.
Yeah. So, or even like, for instance, we had Italian food, and I was quiet at the dinner table. Like, her sisters was talking and all that stuff. They're having the best time talking. I'm quiet because I waited a month and a half to have lasagna, bread. So I'm like, I'm focused. I'm going to remember this day. Because, like, before, I was like, yeah, we go every weekend. We can have the possibility to go every weekend. But I made a choice of, like, no, this is going to be, like, maybe once a month or once a month and a half. And I truly enjoyed every moment of the food that I was digesting, because it was also looked at as a treat, but like, hey, this is something that you should, you know, appreciate and be grateful for, but don't abuse it.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
What was, for you and your journey, what was you learning about your body and learning how to eat healthier, and describe the process to us with that?
It was a long process. I started out first cutting things out. Like I said, there was that 1 year that I did just seafood. Like, for protein, I just did seafood. Then I started cutting some other things out. Like, I was like, all right, I'm going to cut out rice. It was a point where, actually, I'm still kind of consistent with, like, my main... Like, I revolved... In the Spanish culture, you kind of revolve everything around rice and all the... You know how it is. So then I did the opposite. I was like, you know, I'm going to revolve everything around my greens. You know, I started focusing more on, like, colorful food, you know, like alive. So I would maximize that portion and decrease the others to the point where now like I might have rice twice a month, maybe, you know, like, or like I'll do what you do, or you just explain to me, like you go have an Italian food and you just enjoy that. So like I know when, for example, Thanksgiving's coming up, right? So right now, like I'm focused, like I'm so grinded, I'm so into my diet because I'm like I know on Thanksgiving and these holidays are coming up. I'm gonna break my actual routine, but I'm gonna enjoy that because you know it's part of life, and you can't lose. No matter what, grandma's food is always gonna be good. Your mom's food is always gonna be good. That's like hearty, you know. It's like you grew up with that. Absolutely. You can't detach yourself.
And also you love it.
Exactly.
Like, that's
exactly.
It's a part of you that you love, and I think that's a big thing that you have to accept. That like, it's who I am. It's part of who I am. You know, this love that I have for food. Exactly. And it's not wrong, like, to feel that you love it. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember, like, when I started, like, even my wife and my friends, they try to put a label on me of, like, oh, so you're not eating chicken. So you're a vegetarian. I'm like, no. Oh, so you're a pescatarian.
Yeah,
like,
that's how it is.
I'm nothinarian. I'm just I'm fucking figuring out Aryan. Like, I'm like, I just want to, like, you know, because, like, put limits on things and be aware of what I'm consuming. Like, I don't want to put a label on myself. Because at the end of the day, I still love chicken. I still love a sip of soda. I just don't want to abuse it and do it all the time. So, what was the healthy balance you found for you that works?
So for me, it was making everything revolve around my vegetables. And then there was a point that I was just literally eating vegetables without the protein, or vegetables with fats, and then I'll mix and match carbs. And like I was literally like dialed to weighing the food. Like it was that bad. I was like, I had to wait. I was focused, like dialed in. And this happened like maybe like 3 years ago. This is like recent, where I was like, I finally moved out, and I was like, now I'm taking full control of what I consume. And I became so consistent with my diet that I noticed whenever I added something external from my consistent diet, that my body, I could tell my body's communicating to me like, oh, whoa, we can't do that. You know, we can't do that. Or
I was so clogged up when I ate that Italian stuff. I was telling my wife, I feel like I'm so used to like my morning shits now. It was beautiful. Like, and then I ate all that.
Your body becomes consistent.
I was like,
when you're consistent with certain things, your body it talks to you. You know, you're more energetic. You know, you eat a bowl of pasta, you're dying now. Like, oh, your body's like, oh, hold on, I need more energy to burn this. You know, I gotta see what the hell is going on in here. But when you're consistent, you're eating like greens, you're eating live food, you're going at it, you're active, you know, certain things, your body's like, oh, we revving, we out here going. Like, you gotta understand, like, you gotta go back centuries ago. Like, we used to have to go hunt for our food in the jungle. You know, like, I incorporated fasting. Like, that's something I also did like 4 years ago. So I started fasting between a certain time frame, and that helped me too. It just fit in my lifestyle. Now, it's not for everybody, you know, but it works for me. Like, I cut my food at a certain time, I start eating at a certain time, and then when I do eat, I eat healthy stuff. You know, it's became my balance, and that's my lifestyle.
Does it feel robotic in a sense, or it now became the norm?
So like, at the beginning, it was very hard. It's always hard. Like, and I always tell people, you should always take small steps. You know, I tell everybody my journey was not one night to the next, where it's like, oh yeah, oh, he's a health nut, or, you know, always labeling. You know, always trying to label me. I'm like, no, this is probably like a fight I've been having since I left high school. You know, like it's a daily struggle fight where I am now finally consistent, where it became a lifestyle. But my journey to this point, it wasn't something that was quick. You know, that's why I always recommend little by little tweaks. Kind of like when you're making a song, adding certain beats, you know, a little tweak the volume here and there. Like, you know, you have to do that.
How much weight did you lose from high school to like now?
You want to laugh? I'm the lightest weight from what I can remember, I'm the lightest now. From like since I was like 13 years old.
Damn. So at 13 you was like what, 400?
I think the heaviest I reached must have been like 230-ish.
And that was in your teen
And I was like, yeah, and I was, so I'm tall, like
Yeah.
I'm relatively tall now. You're taller than me,
Yeah.
but you know when you're tall, like you stretch sort of. But
Yeah.
I'm talking about I was 13,
Yeah.
fitting in my dad's clothes. You know,
About 230.
like
And now you're like, let me guess, 340. You're probably like 170.
yeah. So I average between 165 to 170. That's my bracket. And it's like, and I remember I texted my mom and I was like, hey, listen, look, I sent a picture of the scale. This is crazy. I'm the lightest I've ever been now.
And I guarantee, like, your parents was like, no, you're like, that's too much. You're too light. You're not supposed
Everybody's
to be.
like, oh, you look like you drying out. You sure you're not sick?
Yeah.
I'm like, you just used to seeing me a certain way. Like, and it's not that I'm sick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I have to explain to people, like, sometimes you may look a certain way on the outside, but it's on the inside that matters. Like, yeah, I might have been 200 pounds the whole time you knew me. And now, like, I look sick to you because I'm 30 pounds lighter, but I'm a whole different person.
Now, this weight that you lost, I would imagine that it helped your confidence and your insecurities. But that's also still the surface, right? Because at the end of the day, you still can gain all that weight. What did you do to, I guess, accept the inner Lenny? Whether he's fat, skinny, obese, whatever. You know, the weight was one factor, but now you're in control of things. What did you do, or how did you overcome or face or be comfortable? It's a loaded question. That this weight it was a part of my insecurity, but it doesn't define me, because in the end of the day, I still like learning to love myself.
Right. So that is all mindset. Like, even losing the weight, it makes you more aware of yourself. I feel like even my thinking, you know, like clears up. I don't know if you have fat cells in your brain. I don't know what. I don't know what, but I feel like everything just start clearing up. You want to read more. You start digging in yourself more. Like, wow, I could do this in my body. Let me grow. Like, your brain is a muscle too. So when you get obsessed with your health and wellness, you can't just make it all physical. You know, it's all internal as well. And that's what opened me up to like all these possibilities. I feel like I'm also more aware of myself, like confident wise, accepting who I am regardless of what my outside looks like, you know, accepting that, yeah, you might have all these crazy thoughts, but you got to also accept you're not your thoughts. You know, that's just your thoughts. You got to absorb them, like listen, analyze them. You can't always catch every single thought that comes through your head.
What helped you discover that, right? Because I also noticed, you know, that there is an awakening in you, and you looked at life differently in a sense. When did that start, and when did you started realizing those things, that there's, you know, one, more to life, two, questioning a lot of things to life? You know, when did that start? Because I know from the little bit that you share, I felt a difference in you, in the sense that like there's an awakening.
Yeah, so like I would definitely give it to books. I started listening to, like, I started doing things that I've never done before. Like, I feel like even in high school, I used to hate reading, you know, and then I realized, like, not everybody has to absorb education a certain way. Like, everybody has their way, and I found for me it's audiobooks, you know, I found for me, it is podcasts, you know, and that's my style. Like, it's hard, I can sit and read a book, but it's more difficult for me to really absorb that versus I could listen to an audiobook and I'm engaged. Like, I'm like, no matter what I'm doing, or I could listen to a podcast. And when I started reaching out to all these other sources of like hearing stories, you know, when you have people on, you know, they tell their life story. Everybody has a story. Everybody has something to give, and you don't know what you're gonna learn from it.
So you like just sponge, just absorbing everything from so many different elements of different people, things, and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And I would imagine too, traveling. You're big on traveling as well.
Yes.
That also opened a whole new world to you.
Yes. So it's like you go to these other countries and you become humbled. You know, you start exploring other cultures, other foods. Again, you relate it to food, but
so it's a good thing.
It becomes like a form of adrenaline. You know, you get excited. You're in a whole different part of the world. You start thinking like, wow, like I was able to travel. Like, it's kind of like, it's, you know, people back in the day wouldn't even do that. Or like, I have people in my family now that haven't gone anywhere but their home country. You know, it's like, don't you want to explore a little bit? Like, I'm like one of the first generations to actually step out of my comfort zone. You know, when you start, and I'm even exploring that now. That's like one of my current things. Is like continue to step out of my comfort zone. I'm starting to accept that. The more comfortable I am, the more I like it. Like I'm starting to get addicted to that because I realize like on the other side of that, it's always some sort of growth. So when you continue to search the non-comfort, the non-like, oh, you know, because it's easy to get comfortable. That's always an easy route, you know, no resistance.
It seems like there was tons of trials and tribulations in your life of self-discovery that allowed you to stand on your 2 feet and be proud of that, because it seems like whether it was family, friends, the world, they kept on knocking you down in the sense of every time you thought of something differently, want to do something differently, like, you know, they wanted to put you in this type of box already. And you try to be in that box. But to you, it's like, yeah, I could be in that box sometimes, but that's just one aspect of me. It's all right for me to do this and do that and think of those things. Is that still a issue today, or at the end of the day, you stick to your guns of like, no, what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what I want to absorb, it's okay, and I'm fine with that?
Yeah, I feel like, even like I said, till recently, that maybe like the past year or so, and you know, you probably see me more around as well. It's like I feel spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, all these different things. You don't have to stand in a specific category. You know, like you could take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and just be okay with it. Accept it. You know, like you don't have to be this particular religion. You don't have to be this particular, like, I don't know, emotional title, whatever you want to call it, whatever the society wants to put you in. You don't have to do that, or you don't have to accept that. You can accept that you could be a piece of this, piece of that. Like, wow, I love this. I like how this makes me feel. Kind of like, if you feel good, to me, that's what matters now. It's not, I don't care what people are going to say or where you're going to try to label me. I'm just going to say, like, nah, I like that. Or I like how I feel in this group. You know, I like what I learned from this. You know, I went to a one-man show. I love what I felt there, you know. I done cried, laughed, I did all the things, and I was like, I like that. I learned something. I felt good. I felt emotion. I felt things that you wouldn't normally feel on the outside. Definitely out of my comfort zone. You know, it's all these things at once.
He's talking about The Naked Truth, by the way. That's on YouTube, and you can watch it for free.
Nice little plug in there.
There's a commercial break of a clip.
We'll be back after these brief messages.
No, but I think that's awesome. And I was thinking about one of these questions that I have down that I was reflecting on. What is something from high school, like a lesson from high school, that kind of like flew over your head, but as you got older, it kept on coming back up and up in life? And I was thinking about that because, you know, especially in high school for me, when we looked at everything as a big joke, and life at the end of the day is a big joke in a sense that you gotta laugh and have those moments, and there's serious things. And I think there was an innocence to us about that, about life, and just enjoying that. But there are people that, you know, older people that was trying to teach us certain things about life, and they're like, you know what, you're gonna hit that wall, watch, you'll see. And I think one thing for me that when I look back and thought of that question, it was, you know, work ethic. Like, yeah, you can joke around all day, but at the end of the day, you got to put in work into what you love and what you really care about. It's not all jokes all the time. You know, life is going to hit you hard. And so what was that for you, that there's a lesson that kept on coming up through high school, and then you kind of like had this epiphany moment when you're older, like, oh, got it.
I tell people this story all the time. I remember being in AP English, man. I used to hate that class. I hated English. I was terrible at it. I was always a math guy. I was a math person. I hated English, but I think her name was like Miss Risen. I think that was,
yeah, I know her. We ain't her Matt Cool now, but I been throwing out like, man, I hate that bitch.
She was tough.
Yeah, my mom is Risen, but she's Matt Cool outside of the bar. Yeah, I didn't have her. I just heard stories.
Yeah, she was tough.
Yeah,
she was tough.
But I heard she was great though.
She was tough. She was a tough teacher, and I like. Now I feel it's one of my strengths. I can ironically say that I can write and be persuasive. I can write and it does. I don't have to think as hard as I used to in high school, but I also feel it has a lot to do with your experience. You know, when you're out there, when you leave school, you know, when you leave that environment, you know, that surroundings, because like you said, you know, you joke around and you kind of lose sight of what's the bigger picture. But when you go out to the real world, and you need to do that, like you gotta write this email to all these top executives. You have to write this memo. You have to communicate this very clear. You know, you can't fill this up with fluff. You can't. This is not a joke. You know, this is real stuff.
I remember. It's funny because I vividly remember you used to complain about that class, and I think I remember I used to tell you, like, nigga, just take regular English like us, bro. Like, it was like, nah, you don't understand. It's AP English. It actually helps us in college. It's like, bro, regular English is helping us right now. It's good. We don't have to do half of those essays that you doing. Like,
yeah, it was tough.
But
it was like boot camp.
Right, but at the end of the day, right, like there's two different spectrums of her that I heard reviews on. She's horrible, blah 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 blah. The other one was she's tough, but I learned a lot, and she was fucking annoying at times, but I learned a lot. And it seems to me she was pushing you guys. Maybe she was extreme at times, but at the end of the day, she pushed so much out of you guys that you guys didn't know that you guys had, to the point that when you got older, you realized, oh snap. Like,
it always crosses. It always crosses my mind all the time. I feel like I'm even getting goosebumps right now. I'm thinking about it because it's just something that at the time, you know, you go back to that time and you step into those shoes and you're like, well, I used to hate that class so much. I used to have, you know, you think I used to have to write 2-3 page papers every night, and this used to be crazy. I hated English. I used to get these crazy grades, and it just really developed me. And even through college, it was still tough because I was like, wow, I still, even with an AP class, I still wasn't ready for this. Like, college was even more. But I can only imagine, had I not took that class in high school, how even further back I would have been.
Yo, you know, I can relate because I didn't take actually I was an AP math. Yeah, I was an AP math. I was failing that shit. But I remember a moment that I had that woke me up, that like it was a blessing and a curse what this lady did to me, and I still fuck her. I still want to smack her up because she's a dick for that. I remember, I think her name was Miss Espinal. She used to be. She's an older lady with glasses. She wasn't even like a official teacher yet. I'm mad hype right now. She wasn't the official teacher yet. She was like the side teacher, like the pre-teacher or whatever, just there. And there was I think she was Filipino, the short teacher, right?
Yes.
She had like a side.
Yes.
I don't know why they put. No, I know why they put me AP math, because you can't take away my regents anymore. Fuck you. It's because I cheated on my math A regents off of Shanti Matlock. What's up, Shanti? And she was mad smart.
Yo.
And I needed that class, that pass that regents with high marks. If not, then I would have just have to retake the whole class. I said, nah, fuck that. But the spirits put Ashanti Matlock right next to me, and bless those angels that did that. So I remember I'm taking the math A regents, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pass this. I looked over to Ashanti, and she's like, you're not really cheating off of me. I was like, chill, Ashanti, let me get like a couple answers. So she still was like almost half covering, so I got some answers. She was going to go to the bathroom. And Larry Brown, Mr. Brown. He was asleep. He was supposed to be watching us while we take the test. He was asleep. Now the rule goes, if you're going to go to the bathroom, you got to submit your test. He was asleep. She left, and she left her test paper there. So I copied all them shits, and she got a 98, I got a 94.
Oh.
So, right, I needed that. So the guidance counselor was like, we're going to put you in AP, math, B, whatever. I said, no, you don't need to do that.
So good.
You don't need to do that. She was like, yeah, because you did so good. We want to prepare you for college. I said, I don't want to prepare for college. I want to prepare regular, just like everybody else. I don't need this class. I'm literally telling her, it's like, I don't understand why you want to downgrade yourself. I said, it's not downgrading. You see, you don't know the levels of my brain. Like, I got to relax and, like, let's ease myself into it. I don't really like math like that. But she said, but you passed. It's like, because I studied. I studied a lot. I don't want to keep studying.
Yeah, you got to keep studying.
I don't want to keep studying. So they put me in this class. Me and Ricardo Malave, we just joking all day. To the point where the teachers know when she's giving out worksheets for everybody to do, she's not even giving it to us. She's like, you guys not going to do it? And we're like, you're right. Save the paper, right? So Miss Espinal one day, it's just me in the back, and she looks at me and says in Spanish, she says, what are you going to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life? You're always joking. You don't take this serious. She doesn't know my life at all. Because prior to these other classes, I'm doing good.
Right.
It's just this class that I'm like, I don't give a shit about it because you put me in there. I don't want to be here. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to do things that I'm going to find find what I want to love. But after this, I'm going to go to college. She looked at me and was like,
yo, get out.
She turned red from laughing.
Laughing in your face. Yeah.
Like, hard. And I'm looking at her like, is this bitch laughing? At that point, I just saw her like laughing at my dreams, laughing at my success, stomping it out. I took all that like, you ain't gonna be shit. So you for real, you think you go to college? And I was like, you don't know me? I got other good grades in this class. I don't need this bum ass class or whatever. And she's just laughing and laughing. She says,
my
yeah,
God.
you're going to go to college.
Oh,
okay.
my
You're gonna, in Spanish.
God.
And I was like, yo, get out of my face, yo. I don't want to talk to you. It was in that moment, first of all, you're not supposed to fucking do that. But it was a blessing to curse. Because it made me realize, right, people's perception of me. Well, this is just one side of that they're always seeing. But there is an element of like, yeah, like people will doubt you. But at the end of the day, that's dumb. But what do you really want out of life? And like later on, that stuck to me. Because she's only seeing one aspect of me. And, there are other aspects of me that I should have started to look into. And now around that time, everybody was telling me, do comedy, go do this, yo, you should do comedy. And I would just ignore it or, yeah. But she sparked something in me that I would never forget, that like life is also about laughing, but going after what you really want to do. Mm-hmm. And yeah, she I think about her I share that story a couple of times. It's like, but I could have gave into her.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
could have believed into this vision that she saw of me.
Absolutely.
But I didn't. I was like, nah.
That would have been easy.
Yeah, that would have been easy. I was like, there's more to me than jokes. And yeah, even if I do want to joke in college, I still got to take life kind of like serious. So moving along, I just want to say hashtag fuck Miss Espinal.
For the record.
Yeah, for the record. What is your passion and what you love to do? I know you're an analyst, right? Which pays the bills. You probably did have a love for it at one point and stuff, and know how to do the job. But I want to dig deeper than that. And like, what is your passion? What does Lenny love to do?
I always split that in like two sectors. So I love sharing my knowledge. So even with the health and wellness, anything that I know financial, with younger people with that I know, like if I know somebody in high school, for example, and I'm like, so how's your savings? Or I start asking these challenge questions that someone was asking me, but not as much as I would to that person, because I'm like, you have to start taking those things serious now, because the world we live in now is kind of like way more fast paced than when we were in high school, So it's like, financial advice, health and wellness, things like that. Like, I love sharing that in a way where it's like, you want to sit down and talk. You have a problem in this sector in your life, let's talk about it. I don't mind consult. Like, it's just, I love doing that. It feels good, It feels like I'm giving you a piece of me that I've already been through, and maybe avoid you, like avoid yourself from going through that pain, and maybe take a different route where you might be more advanced at my age when you get there,
Yeah.
So I love doing that. And then my other recent, passion, which I feel like I've always had, and I explained to you last time we spoke, was like, I love creating, and I think my output, I've always been involved in music, you know that. There was a time I was doing funny videos with my cousin, you remember that? Yeah. And I was in the editing for that.
You used to play with Aventura too. You was in my Tata band, Sereno.
Yes,
I got the CD. I still got it. I remember gave me a copy.
You want to sign?
Yeah, definitely. I remember that.
So we I made music. There was always some sort of, I grew up around music, and I don't know where it comes from, but it also feels good. Now I'm just chasing what feels good. And until most recent, like I'm reopening that video editing book, like I'm going back down that path where in travel, I started making travel videos, and I'm like, wow, I just started with like a simple GoPro. I was like, now I got a different camera. Like now I'm like advancing more. Now I really want to do this for like other things. I want to record random things. I want to, you know, help other businesses, maybe like businesses that don't have that exposure, that want that exposure, things like of that sort. I love creating stories through imaging, you know, through visual, and that's been like my most recent passion. And I feel like that also is evolution, you know, like Lenny 5 years ago would have told you like I'm passionate about telling people about health and wellness. You know, like you know, that's just me now. Like I've been through this journey, and it's like wow, like you could really make a change that.
What is it about video editing that attracts you so much? I know it feels good, but on a I also feel like you have to have an eye, an artistic bone, creative, which you you had throughout your life, and now you're allowing it to shine more. Like I think this is a new phase that you digging inside of you that you recently want to rediscover and relearn from it. So what does the video editing and the creating thing bring to you besides just it feels good, like bring this in your mind, like?
So I feel like it's funny thinking about, all right, I'm an analyst. Is the only strength I feel like I have as being an analyst is detail orientation. So I bring that, or I don't know if because of my previous video, exploration, that now I could be an analyst paying attention to detail. But when I do record video, I pay attention to the small things, and like you said, I have like a natural eye where I see certain things, or I could be in this room and I could be telling you like a simple idea that I could have of creating a little video or an ad or something like that. Like it's just my mind now, it's always thinking like, wow, that'd be cool if they had this and that, or creating a story, you know, creating some sort of story without even saying it, you know, just all visual. Like, you know, you put a couple of clips together and all of a sudden you know the message behind it. So I feel like my attention to detail has sparked that even more, like, but it's in a way where as being an analyst, you have to use that to analyze information, but it's not as fun to me. Like I feel like that's my fun side, is recording and making a story with video.
Growing up, did you have these moments of you trying to, I guess, like be yourself and like trying to like do things that you have fun, or it was always that you was with someone, you was around family? Like for me, like I used to love being in my room, just a guitar. And like my mom would look at that and accepted it, but she also looked like my family knew that was different, because there was a lot of moments I was very quiet, like to keep to myself, private, and be creative, right? But I had those moments, like, they probably like, go outside, go play basketball. Yeah, that was one element of me. I did do that. But there was also another side of me that I was able to explore. Did you kind of like have that, or growing up where you had those moments alone, try to cipher young Lenny, or you was always with family, or the freedom wasn't there so much to like not be, to do that and be like judged upon, so you just like followed everybody else?
So I feel like my childhood was very structured, and I'm telling you this, until my last relationship, I was a very structured person. I was a very line of sight. I still have that in me. It's like I'm like horse blinds. Like I know where I want to go, I'm getting there. And you know, meeting my partner now, she has helped me kind of like widen that spectrum, where it's like I start exploring different things, and it's like, wow, this is actually fun. You know, it's like your inner child, maybe, that I was so structured, I was so grown. You know, like I'll be amongst my older and younger cousins, and like I acted and looked so much more grown than them, that it's because I was so structured. You know, I was like so ahead of it, where I kind of lost being that fun child.
And and it's funny because now it makes sense. You only got that when you went to school, to be funny, to let loose, to be yourself. And at home, you had a structure, you had a life, and for whatever reason, to be like, take life seriously, take yourself seriously, and be around older people. So because once you get out in the real world, and I get the explanation for that, but what seems to happen, in your case, that you lost your inner child. And now in the past 5 years, you have exploring that inner child, or, even with the relationship you're in now, that opened up a whole new world. Like, it's okay to, let that inner child and have fun. Because I been a fucking adult since I was 2 years old. I don't want to be an adult 24/7.
Exactly, and that's how it feels. It's like, wow, this whole time I was a good old man, and I'm over here like, what was I doing? You know, it becomes a norm, and it's because you're so straight. You know, you're so lined up. It's like, yo, let's explore. Let's see what's going on. Let's be curious.
And it's funny because a perfect segue to this question is like, you're in a long-term relationship now. Like, how has that molded you and matured you from this relationship, this current one? Because I see you speak highly of it, you know, in bits and pieces you talk about it. And of course, like you said too, like there's ups and downs to everything. But there's also, you know, you got to work on it. So how has that matured and molded you in a sense to a different phase of Lenny?
I feel like, I love that, the different phase of Lenny. That's a good one.
Remember that title, man. I get 10%, but we'll talk about that.
Trademark. Lenny 2.0.
Different phase of Lenny.
Yeah, it really, I feel like this is my first relationship where I'm actually in tune with myself. I've also developed being a piece of a puzzle of somebody else. And that person is like a piece of my puzzle as well. But we're both kind of growing, you know, within ourselves and then building that puzzle together as well. So there is no beautiful, flourishing people like what, it's not Disney, you know? It's like, I tell people that all the time, like, it may look like that from the outside. It always does, because obviously people only see the good. And, but I always say, like, don't compare yourself. That's one. You should not be comparing yourself to us. Every relationship is different. We make it work. We are a very, very compassionate couple. And we understand each other. We understand our growth. We understand our downside. We're like yin yang. It's like when one is up, the other one's down. When the other one is down, the other one's up. Like we gotta balance each other. So that in itself, it's funny you use the word mature. Like, how does that help you mature? It has helped me relationship-wise. But I would say the opposite. It has made me immature a little bit. It has made me be fun. You know, have some fun. Be childish. Be, you know...
explore your inner child.
Yeah, explore your inner
and
child.
Not judging
have
you about
fun.
It.
Exactly. Like, have fun. Not be so serious. You know, like, and that in itself sparks a fire. You know, it makes you fall into things that maybe you are passionate. Like the same thing, I'm falling into video editing and, you know, a new company with that and all these new beginnings in my life, you know, exploring spirituality, exploring even other religions. I don't judge any religion, but who knows? Like, I could be parts of many. I take little things here, little things there, and all those things come up to make me who I am. Who knows where I'm gonna be, you know? But right now, this present moment is what matters. So the current relationship that I'm in is going on to be one of the longest for sure. But we definitely have developed like the understanding, and we still are. It's something that's ongoing. I feel like if there's anything I could tell any couple is that, and you should know that, you guys should know that it doesn't stop. Like it's always a learning process. It's always learning. It's always compromising, understanding. It's you're
knowing each other, how you speak and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Not taking certain things personal.
No, and feeling each other's energy, like have to be there, you know, communication, all these little sectors that may sound cliche, it's the truth. There's no, you know, I hate all these movies, Prince Charming and all these stuff. Like, it's like a brainwash to like the child. You grow up watching these movies and all of a sudden, like, you look up to that. And that sucks. There's a rude awakening. You know, and, you know, all these stories makes you look at love at a certain way. And that's not it, you know?
Love is like so many elements. It's
exactly.
So many
it's a ton. It's a ton. It's not just one thing says all. It's not that butterfly feeling only. You know, it's many things that come behind that. And once you understand that, and stop comparing yourself, because it's like we live in such a comparison world with like social media and all these other things are like pushing comparison. You know, like you swipe and you're like, hey, people just fall into that. Once you understand that you are you and your relationship is your relationship and it's whatever you make of it, and if you're not happy, you know, you should go otherwise. If you guys you tried your best. You know, sometimes there are situations where you guys aren't compatible, which happens. You know, but it's just part of life. It's part of your journey. Or maybe that person fulfilled what they were supposed to teach you in your lifetime, and then you go on. But you know, I feel great. I'm happy. It's the happiest I've ever been in any relationship. So many things have opened up, and I feel, I don't want to say I owe it to the relationship. I feel like this addition to my life has definitely incorporated that Lenny, that new phase of Lenny that you call it. You know,
that's 30%. You use that by 10%. So you explained to us one of the key tools that you appreciate so much in the relationship that you have with your girlfriend, which is the not being judged but having fun, being an inner child. What is something now you admire so much about the relationship you now have with yourself?
That I allow myself to do that. That is, I feel like I was so structured, and even sometimes I still got to check myself. Like, it's something that doesn't go away. Like, you become so... I've made peace with the fact that I was a perfectionist young in life, so that made me structured. That made me like, I have to be this way. I have to be an adult. I have to grow up. I have to be successful. I have to think 10 years ahead, and always being 10 years ahead just makes you that much blind of the current moment. So like, now that I can allow myself to like just be flexible, man. This is part of your journey. Like, explore. You know, it's okay. It's okay if you fall. You're gonna get back up. You know, knowing that life isn't that serious as well. Like, you have to take life for what it is. I feel like you are where you're supposed to be every single moment. You know, and don't focus so much on like the future. Forget the past. Is there. You learn from it. But I feel like the main moment is this very second, right now. You know, right here we having this conversation. This is what matters. You got to be present. So allowing that, like giving myself permission, like literally that relationship with myself, like it's okay. It may sound crazy, but that's like one of the main things now.
Yeah, because your freedom and your permission was always an access that had to go through other people for so many times in real life, and now you reached a level where I have the right to give myself that access, and I have the right to give myself that freedom.
Yep.
You know, no one's going to be in control of that. So no, I definitely agree with you, and I can see that. So Lenny, we're going to move forward because we got to know you a lot, and thank you for sharing all the things you have shared here, which is dope, because for me it's like, you know, I saw the different phases of Lenny that you explained, especially from high school, which I wanted, because I wanted to see those different phases, because there's a big gap that I don't know. So now we're going to move over to our first segment, and it's called Let's Look Inside. And the first question for Let's Look Inside is, what in life is beautiful to you?
Wow. What in life is beautiful to me? I would go back to just have fun. Like the ability to have fun, to allow yourself to have fun. You know, like just be flexible, do what you love, find what you love, explore, fail. It's fine. Like, there's no such thing as failure. Like, just go for it. If you hit a wall, find a way around it.
Now, the second question is, if we can pump the brakes on your life right now, what is something you would pay more attention to in your life?
Ooh. Damn, that's a good one.
You know, we used to do the rubber band stuff.
Yeah,
we sang a song.
Damn, you hit me hard with that one. What's something I would pay more attention to in my life? Wow. It's crazy because I feel like I have so many moving parts. But if I had to focus on one thing, I'll drop everything for my creativity. You know, if I didn't have to pay the bills, like, I feel like my happiness is in my creativity. If I could just record, video, who knows, pick up the bass again.
You just gave yourself the biggest message, so you need to find time for that.
Yeah, you're right.
Segment number 2. It's called Words from My Spiritual Teacher, Guru Enlightenment. And as you know, is our spiritual teacher.
Yes,
you see
sir.
her too.
Yep.
So in this segment, I read, you know already, and everybody should know if you're checking out. I read certain messages from her books that she shared, either from a book or on Facebook, and we're just going to talk about it. So, and it goes like this. Doubting yourself means you doubt your purpose in this world and the reason you choose to come here. Do not close your eyes, open it wide, and see what is truly here. How do you feel about that?
I feel like that goes back to like the moment. Now, you know, I read this book, The Power of Now, and that book, it changed that. I feel like that relates so much to it. You know, like she hit it on the head with that.
I feel like also like it relates to your life where doubt was huge for many years, and not having the freedom and you know to be the inner child all the time. Yeah, it's okay to have structure. But there's a lot of doubt that you faced to like, man, what if I don't want to do that? What if I want to live my life this way? What if I want to, you know, think this way? What if I want to eat this way? Why is it wrong to be that way? And there's a lot of doubt. Am I going against them? Why do I have this guilt? So doubt was always in your life, even up to now. With the creativity, you know, and the doubt of exploring that inner child. And I think you have been opening your eyes to see what you did at that one point early in your phase a couple of years ago. It's like, I'm going to do what I want. You know, I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do this. And I'm not going to worry. I'm going to stand on my ground no matter how hard it is. I'm actually going to take this step. And it's a journey. So I'm going to do that and go with the ups and downs. And I think also this relates even heavily to maybe the doubt you may be experiencing a little bit to maybe finding time to play bass again, or maybe exploring deeper into video editing, you know, and you have to open your eyes again to know that you have to start doing that because you got hit twice where you gave yourself the message of you could pump the brakes and it was the creativity. And now you got hit again like you surpassed so many doubts in your life. Now there's another doubt lingering again that you have to conquer it, which is you have to do creativity because there's a reason why it's coming back again, but even stronger, and there's a purpose there.
You are now checking out
The Win Podcast,
where the everyday people
are the celebrities.
So let's get to know them.